Welcome to the Pipehorn 800 series training tutorial. In the next few minutes, we'll cover the equipment, operating frequencies, applying a signal, the Pipehorn steps to an accurate locate, and finally, the Pipehorn safety suite. The 800 series locator comes ready to use in a single, durable carry bag. Inside the bag, you have the transmitter, the receiver, sweep handle and ground rod, user manual, quick guide, and the conductive cables. The signal clamp is optional. Let's take a look at the Pipehorn system check. It's more than just a battery test. It's a quick way to indicate that the entire system is operational. It's a good habit and saves time and effort.
First, let's take a closer look at the equipment, beginning with the transmitter. The transmitter has just one control, an on-off switch. When the transmitter's on, it produces a tone. What that tone means is shown right here on the transmitter. A steady high-pitched tone indicates good battery and good signal output. A steady low-pitched tone indicates good battery but poor signal output. And finally, a beeping tone indicates low battery. Let's take a look at the receiver. The 800H receiver has just one control, a knob that turns it on and adjusts its sensitivity. During our checks, we'll always set this knob so that the number 2 is precisely lined up with the mark. The receiver indicates signal strength with both a tone and a meter. The dual frequency 800HL that I have here has just one more control, a switch to detect high frequency or low frequency. So that's the transmitter and the receiver. Now, to begin our system check, we're going to place the equipment away from utility lines and other interfering objects like vehicles and guardrails, fences. First, let's check high-frequency induction. Turn your transmitter on. The high-pitched tone from the transmitter indicates I've got good battery and good signal. If you're using the 800HL, select high frequency. Place the receiver against the transmitter and set the sensitivity knob precisely at 2. The beeping tone from the receiver indicates a strong signal. Move your receiver in a straight line away from the transmitter. If the beeping tone continues for at least 3 feet, your high-frequency induction is operational. Next, let's check conduction on both high-frequency and low-frequency. Plug your cables into the transmitter jack and hold the clips by the rubber boots. The transmitter gives a poor signal tone because the cables aren't connected to anything. Connect your clips together. The transmitter makes a high-pitched tone, indicating I've got good signal and good cables. Then, lay your cables on the ground in a loop. With your sensitivity still set at 2, touch the red wire with your receiver. The beeping tone indicates my high-frequency conduction is operational. Next, select low frequency. Good, it's still beeping. My low-frequency conduction is operational. Finally, let's check the signal clamp. Plug your clamp into the transmitter jack. There's my good signal tone. With your sensitivity still set at 2, place the receiver inside the ring. The beeping tone indicates my clamp's low frequency is operational. Next, select high frequency. Still beeping. My clamp's high frequency is operational. That's the Pipehorn 800 series system check. In about a minute, these few simple steps allowed us to check the entire system, including the transmitter, the receiver, the conductive cables, and the optional signal clamp.
So, that's the Pipehorn system check. A key point to remember is to keep the knob set at 2 during the check. Also, while the cables are in a loop and the transmitter is on, shake them and listen for a consistent, good signal tone. This would indicate that your cables are good. Remember, it's best to store your locator in a truck bin or cab when not in use to protect it from the elements. Now that we have looked at the equipment and demonstrated the system check, let's talk about operating frequencies. The 800HL has 2 frequencies, a high and a low. Pipehorn's high frequency is 480 kilohertz and is generally used for locating when you can't connect, sweeping an area for utilities, and locating poor conductors, such as broken or corroded tracer wire and tape, inserted services, street lights, and cast or ductile iron pipe. The low frequency is 9 kilohertz and is best for tracing long distances on good conductors and isolating a single target line when there are many things in the ground. Now that we know about the frequencies and their benefits, let's look at how you can best apply those signals to locate lines. There are 3 ways to apply a signal with the transmitter. 1 is conductive, or directly connected. 2 is inductive, by placing the transmitter over the line. And 3 is by using the optional signal clamp. The term conductive means that you are using the cables to make a metal-to-metal connection to the target line. The recommended practice is to connect directly to your target line and start with low frequency. We'll demonstrate how to safely connect using a gas meter. The order in which you connect is important for safety. First, connect the red lead to your target. Then, take your ground rod and place it fully in the earth and away from other lines. Connect the black lead to the ground rod and plug the cable into the transmitter. The last step is to turn the transmitter on. Great, there's our good signal tone. 2 of the things that can improve your signal on your line when you are direct connected are 1, getting a good ground. Generally, the more of the ground rod you get into the earth, the stronger your signal will be on your target line. And 2, having good metal-to-metal contact between the clip and your target line. This may require removing paint, insulation, or rust before connecting. Using the 800HL, both frequencies high and low are being applied at the same time to the conductor. You can choose which frequency to detect by simply flipping this switch on the side of the receiver. And remember, it's best to start with low frequency when direct connected. Now, let's move on to inductive locating. If you don't have access or permission to connect to the line, you can apply your signal inductively. This method sends the signal down through the earth and onto your target line. The signal is also coming out of the front, the back, and the top of the transmitter. Make sure that your receiver is set to high frequency. This is the only frequency available when inducing. To maximize the signal on your target line, make sure that your transmitter is on top of, in line, and as close to the target as possible. Avoid setting the transmitter down on metal objects such as manhole covers or valve boxes. Usually, you'll get a poor signal tone because the metal objects are reducing the signal applied to your line. When you have access but cannot make a direct connection, signal can be applied with the optional signal clamp, a method often used for energized power in communication lines. Simply open the clamp, place it around your target, and make sure it closes completely. When using the signal clamp, both high and low frequencies are being applied. Let's review this section. The three methods of applying a signal are conductive, inductive, and using the optional signal clamp. Using the transmitter properly to apply the best signal to your line is extremely important. Regardless of how you apply your signal, doing the following three things will help you have a successful locate. Number 1, make sure you have a good signal tone. Number 2, maximize the signal applied to the target line. And number 3, use the best frequency for the situation. With a good signal now applied to your line, let's look at how to get the most accurate locate using the receiver. First, pinpoint. Adjust your receiver gain until you hear a steady tone. If it's beeping, turn it down. If you don't hear anything at all, turn it up. Next, keeping your receiver vertical, scan left to right, searching for the strongest signal. It gets weaker in this direction, so let's try the other way. It's getting stronger, and if it beeps, turn your gain down again. It fell off on this side, meaning we've crossed over a conductor. Keeping your receiver vertical, scan left to right, searching for the strongest signal. Here is my pinpoint. Number 2, check direction. Come back to your pinpoint spot and place the end of the receiver tip on the ground. Slowly pivot the handle left or right, searching for the strongest signal. At the strongest signal, your handle is in line with the run of the conductor. Number 3, if you're operating inductively, determine your signal source. Is it coming from underground, some low-hanging power lines, or is it coming through the air from your transmitter? To check, we will slowly raise the receiver and point it at the transmitter. If the tone does not get weaker, then your strongest signal is not coming from underground. If your tone does get weaker, good, then your strongest signal is coming from underground. Lastly, check balance. This is a very important step and will let you know if there's anything interfering with your signal. To check for balance, come back to your pinpoint and straddle that spot with your feet, making sure that your feet are the same distance from the pinpoint. Adjust your receiver gain until the meter reads 8. Keeping the receiver vertical, move it over to your right foot and note the number on the meter. I'm at a 2 here. Do the same on the other side. 2 again. If the numbers on the meter are about the same on both sides, then you have a balanced signal. If they were different, say a 2 and a 5, that would indicate an unbalanced signal, meaning that something is interfering with it. In that case, you would need to do something different with your transmitter. In review, pinpoint the strongest signal, check direction, determine your signal source, and check balance. You don't have to do these steps every time you dot the ground, but they will certainly help you stay on target as you trace. Next, we'll cover the Pipehorn Safety Suite, a proven process that makes excavation safer.
Now today, this is our work area. We have to relocate this sign from here up to here. Now to begin your sweep, we recommend lining up about 30 feet apart. A good rule of thumb for separation is about 5 times the depth of the utility. One of the advantages of Pipehorn's ultra-high frequency is when you don't have 30 feet to line up, you can often line up closer and still get the job done. In this case today, we're lined up about 20 feet apart. Now, to begin your sweep, you want to attach the sweep handle to the transmitter. This allows you to hold the transmitter low to the ground to put the strongest possible signal on any lines. Next, we want to select high frequency on our receiver. Then, we're going to adjust our sensitivity to pick up a little signal through the air. We're going to put our meter right on the number 4. Now, there are 2 things to remember when we sweep. Number 1, we've got to maintain constant separation. Drifting in toward each other or away from each other changes the signal strength. Number 2, we've got to keep our transmitter and receiver pointed at each other. Falling out of alignment changes the signal strength. Now we're ready to sweep across the work area. When we approach a line, our signal strength is going to spike. There, a beeping tone, very strong signal, indicating our signal strength is spiked. First, I have to adjust my sensitivity to get a steady, non-beeping tone, and I'm going to pinpoint the strongest signal with my receiver. Next, we're going to align the transmitter to get it directly on top of our conductor. We're going to pinpoint once more with our receiver. Then we're going to raise our receiver up and point it at the transmitter to confirm that that strongest signal is coming from our line underground and not through the air. Good. The tone went away, indicating our strongest signal is coming from our line underground. That's an unmarked line in our dig area. We're going to mark it. Now, to continue sweeping for lines running in this direction, we want to sweep again. We're going to adjust our sensitivity till our meter reads 4 and continue sweeping. Now, when we approach this mark line, we're going to ignore the signal spike to see if there are any other lines in our dig area. We ignore that spike. There's another spike. We put our transmitter on the ground. We adjust our sensitivity and pinpoint with our receiver. Next, we want to align our transmitter. We adjust our sensitivity and pinpoint once more with our receiver. And we check our signal source. Good. There's another unmarked line in our work area. We're going to mark it. After sweeping for lines running in this direction, we'll need to set up at 90 degrees to find lines running in this direction. So transmitter lines up over here. Receiver lines up here. We adjust our sensitivity till our meter reads 4, and we continue sweeping. Our signal strength spiked again. He puts the transmitter on the ground. I adjust my sensitivity and pinpoint with the receiver. We align the transmitter. We pinpoint once more with our receiver. We check our signal source. Good. There's another unmarked line in our work area. We're going to mark it. Now, after lining up and sweeping for lines at both 90-degree angles, we recommend that you line up and sweep the 45-degree angles as well. That's the Pipehorn safety sweep. In a couple of minutes, we located 3 unmarked lines in our dig area.
A few things to remember when performing your safety sweep. Make sure that high frequency is selected on your receiver. Set the receiver so that the meter reads 4 and do not adjust throughout the sweep. Keep the receiver and the transmitter pointed at each other and maintain constant separation. Remember, drifting closer or away from each other during the sweep will change the signal. The Pipehorn safety sweep is quick, it's easy, and most important, it's effective in preventing damages. So that's it. In this 800 series training tutorial, we've covered the basics for successful locating with a Pipehorn. Practicing these basics will absolutely lead to better locates. The Pipehorn 800 is a highly capable locator yet simple to use, and that's why Pipehorns have been a favorite of users for over 50 years. For more information and support, please visit pipehorn.com.